Hello, everybody, and welcome to our creative challenges. You might notice I'm 5 minutes late, and I'm actually a little embarrassed to tell you what happened. Um, I'm going to seem like I have no idea what I'm doing, even though I've been doing lives for years. When I went to touch the go live button, I usually confirm and make sure that I click it and I can see the counter going, but I didn't this time. So I played the whole intro video. I thought I hit go live. I started hosting the live for the last 5 minutes. And then I looked at it and I said, wait, I'm thinking to myself, why don't I see the counter that's telling me how long I've been live? It's because I wasn't live, because I either forgot to hit the button or hit the button and didn't go. It's kind of embarrassing. I know I didn't have to tell you. I could have just said, sorry, I'm late, but honesty is the best policy. So yeah, I've been hosting to nobody for the last 5 minutes. So I'm going to go through this again. This is my second time giving the spiel, but only the first time hearing it for you. Thank you so much to all of you who have come in. And I'm one of the co-founders of Altenew. And yes, I do know what I'm doing, just not right now. Yeah, Kim's saying I was practicing. You were practicing. So sorry. When I realized it, I just couldn't believe it. I've never done that before. I've made all sorts of mistakes going live, but that's a new one for me. So I am here officially now. Yeah, that was a practice run. And yes, I'm here with Altenew. And if you are new to Altenew, welcome. We are so happy to have you here. If you are returning back, then I am happy to have you come back with us. So this is our creative challenge. It's a weekly challenge that gets posted. It goes live on Tuesdays at 4 Eastern time. If you're able to join us live, that's amazing. If not, if you're catching up on the replay, that is okay too. But you do get a benefit from being live is if you are here and you share the live stream while we're live, and you come in and leave a comment and let us know you did that, you will be entered to win a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. I like the comment here. It says, how did all the nobodies like the intro? They loved it. It was great. It was the best intro I've ever done, and everyone missed it. Now you're stuck with this intro. No, it was all good. So the other way you can win a $15 gift certificate is if you play along with the challenge. So every week we're going to have a new challenge prompt, and you need to share with our hashtag, which is hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. And if you post within the next week before our next challenge goes live next Tuesday, then you can also win if you get featured. So since this is my second time going through this, since we're already a few minutes late, let's just dive right in to last week's challenge. I'll show you my completed project, and then we will talk about who this week's winner is, and I'll show you their project. So last week we did nothing but negative, and the challenge was to utilize negative space, and we talked about different ways you can do that. So I did my own example using a negative die cut, so a negative window that was created by using a die, but you can also create negative space with ink blending, with masking. There's a lot of different ways to interpret that. And this is my finished card. So I did wrap up adhering. Actually, this was already adhered. The chair was already adhered, but I adhered some enamel dots, and I also finished putting on the little parts of the tree that I didn't have time to do while I was live. And the negative space is created by that tree die cut. So I really love how this turned out. I love the colors. For a miss you card, you might think it might be a little more, I don't know, peaceful, serene, not like in your face, look at these bright colors. But I love that. And I think it's really fun to have all those bright colors. So this was my finished one. And yes, the back of that cardstock that I used, that was from the Pattern Paper Pack, which is the Altenew's alcohol ink backgrounds. The other side is this fun other pattern, but of course, once I mount this to a card base and send it, you won't be able to see that, but I bet there's a way I could incorporate that as that too. So if you open it up, you can see it. But that was my finished project. And now let me announce the winner. So I do need to take a second just to share my screen. Hopefully you can see that now. So this was created by Andrea Batts-Latson. And I really thought this was such a cute project, and also using the negative die cut with a tree, but in a different way than mine. So mine is more of the leaves have fallen off of the tree and you're left with the branches. And this one is the greenery. So I thought that was really, really, really cute and fun. And I love the coloring on the animals. So congratulations to Andrea. Make sure that you contact us and let us know that you are the winner of the challenge so we can get your $15 gift certificate out to you. And then you can use it for anything that might be on your Altenew crafty wish list. So I would also like to encourage, if anybody's new, to play along, because you can also submit a work in progress. And that is because I understand that everybody has a personal life outside of your crafty life and outside of the hobbies. And although we would all love to spend lots and lots of time every day crafting, I know that is not a reality for many people. So if you have some time to craft, but you can't finish your project, don't get discouraged. Don't feel like, now I can't enter. You can still win if you submit a work in progress. So I just want to encourage everybody to craft, even if you feel like you don't have all the time for it. The only thing is you do have to satisfy the challenge prompt in whatever you share. So make sure that the challenge is satisfied before you include that hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. And then maybe you'll be the one who gets picked and you are the winner next week. So I really hope everybody plays along, and we're getting lots of congrats for Andrea in the comments. That's so nice. So today is a tricky one. How often do I say that? Every week. It's always a tricky one. I thought this would be easy for me. So this week, the challenge is high five, and you need to use only 5 supplies to make something. And I am a clean and simple card maker, and it just seems easy, right? 5 supplies, that's plenty. I don't need more than 5 supplies. But the way that I've made it limited, it's going to be a little bit tough. So white cardstock and tools are free. So I've got a bunch of panels of white cardstock cut already. I use my paper trimmer. That doesn't count. So it doesn't count as a supply. You can use your die cut machine. Anything that is a tool that you use while you're crafting is free. However, every single other thing that you use counts. So a stamp set counts as 1. So you can use anything on that stamp set, and that's 1 stamp set. You can use a die set. Any die inside is okay, but you can only count it as 1. I think that's kind of an easy part of it. The hard part is the colors. So if you are using ink, you can't say, well, I'm going to use 30 different inks, and that's just one thing. That's ink. No, that's going to be 30 different things. So you're over your limit. So you can only use 5 total, including every ink color or every marker color. Or if you're using watercolor, every color you use is different. Now, watercolor is not a bad idea because you can get a gradient, many colors with just 1 color. So use your supplies thoughtfully. This is kind of like the desert island thing, right? If you're stranded on a desert island and it's full of like tools and white cardstock for some reason, but you want to be able to craft, like what are the 5 things that you are bringing to craft with? Okay. By the way, adhesives are tools. I'm counting adhesives as tools. So don't worry if you have to use some adhesive. If you have any questions, pop them into the comments, because there might be something that I haven't thought about that you have a question about, and then we can make the decision on whether it counts as one of your 5 items or not. But hopefully this is a good way for you to stretch your supplies. Yeah, Kim's asking about glue. Glue is free. Okay, we're going to call that a tool. Let me pop you down and show you what I took out. My plan is to make 2 projects. Oh my gosh, hi Terry. My friend, my crafty friend and real life friend, Terry, is in the chat. So she's watching today. So good to see you, Terry. And if you just came in, Terry, or if anybody just came in, welcome to the Creative Challenges. Today's challenge is a 5 supply limit. So this is what I've pulled out. I've got some oldies but goodies here, you guys. And I did check. These are still available to be purchased in the Altenew store. I have Dainty Bouquet, and I kind of made it even harder for myself because I picked a stamp set that doesn't have sentiments. So I knew I was going to have to pick another supply to create my greeting. So I grabbed the Fine Alphabet die set, another old one, but it's really awesome. And then I've already got 2 down, so I only have 3 left. So I was trying to think of what I wanted to do here with colors. So like I said, I'm going to make 2 different cards. On one of them, I'm going to use these 2 with these 3 colors. And on the other one, if I have time, I'm going to use these 2 supplies, the die set, the stamp set, and these 3 colors. That was it. Okay. Now my ink blending brushes, these are freebies because they are tools. My stamp wheel is free. It is a tool. Okay. So if you have any questions like that, just put that in. If you use one color of enamel dots, but use multiple pieces of that color, does it count as one or multiples? That would be 1. So this is the example. I'll just show you with a set of enamel dots. You can't say my supply is enamel dots, so I can use all of these. Okay. However, you can say my supply is the lightest enamel dot, and you can use multiple of these, but you can't use these and these, or if you did, that's fine, but it counts as 2 supplies now. Okay. So every color of a thing is going to count. Black counts. So if you can't make a project without black, that's 1 of yours down already. You can only pick 4 more. Sue says, is stencil art set considered one thing? Yeah, I'm going to count a set of something as 1. So this die set includes many dies, but this counts as 1. This stamp set includes many stamps. It is 1. The stencil art contains 6 stencils, but that will be 1. Good luck doing the stencil art, though, when you can't pick lots of colors. I would love to see how you work around that. And again, white cardstock and tools are all free. So I'm going to start with some white cardstock and we're going to do some blending. Okay, and I will be pulling my trusty mat out of the stamp wheel. Again, I always use this one when I'm live just because you could see the whole thing on screen, but you might also want to use your 9x12 if you have one of those. And I think I just want to do ink blending first with my dainty bouquet in mind. I think it would be really cute if I did these in black. So I'm not going to be using the limestone for this one. I'll do a silhouette because this is actually a layering set where you can do a different layer, a different color for each layer and get something really beautiful like this. But if I just stamp the back, this layer in black, I think that's a really nice silhouette. So let's do ink blending first. So I'll be going into the olive and the dewdrops. I think I'll start with the dewdrops up at the top here. And let me scoot this down just a little bit. Yeah, Susan's saying this is a tough challenge. It is a tough challenge, and it's harder for some than it is for others. We've done different challenges where you have to limit supplies, or you have to use lots of supplies, or you have to be minimal, or you have to be maximalist. So for example, we've done a 1-layer challenge before. We've done a challenge where you have to add, I think it was like at least 5 layers. So there are a lot of things that we do to try to get different people out of their comfort zone. For some of you, this might be an easy one, but I told you, I thought this was going to be an easy one for me, but I found myself wanting to use more than 5 things. I'm trying to make some decisions here with this blending. My first thought was to do just like a really solid blend of the blue into the green, but I think it might be cool if I make it a little bit less like that and more of how, I was going to say like tie-dye, but it's not going to be tie-dye, but more of like a blended background where there's green and blues coming in from different areas. I don't know. If I don't like how it looks, I can always grab another piece of cardstock. Okay, so Kim's doing a tip. You could do a stencil set with limited color choices if you choose the right set. Yes, and you can also get lots of different tones with ink blending. So here you can see I'm going to add more pressure and more ink down at the bottom here, and it's a lot more intense of a color. And where I've been really light is where I have a lighter tone. So one color of ink really gets you more shades than you realize. All right, I'm going to stop with the blue for right now. So again, that was Dewdrops. And now going to olive, one of my all-time favorite greens. And this is a deep color. So I'm going to try to be a little bit more gentle with my ink blending at first, just so that I can see how all of this is blending. There we go. Just intensifying it a little bit. Hopefully you see now what I mean by I was saying I wanted to have the color kind of in different areas. So not just a solid blend of blue to green, but you could imagine this like cloudy background. I know green wouldn't be in the sky typically, but I'm just kind of forming organic shapes around. And I can always go back in and add some more blue. I'm just trying to keep the background interesting, knowing that my flowers that I stamp are just going to be silhouettes. And these ink blenders I'm using, by the way, are our large ink blending brushes. One of my lesser used ink blending brushes. I am a mini blending brush girl. Okay, I like that. I do want to add a little bit more blue. Sue, yes, she asked if blending tools are free. Yep, they count as tools, so they are free. Okay, I'm just going to go back in and just add a little bit more of the dewdrops. So just a few areas I want to intensify it a little bit. I think whenever you have darker colors in the corners or on the edges, it really helps to bring focus towards the center. You can use color in that way to help guide the viewer. This works in visual arts too, not just in paper crafting. But let's say you were making a scrapbook layout and you wanted to have focus on your center photo. You could definitely go darker around the edges, and that'll just bring the eye towards the center. If I had more colors that I was allowed to use, I would definitely be adding moss. So that's the deeper color of like one darker than olive. And I think that would really even intensify this. I probably should have done a little bit lighter in the middle, but I cannot go back. I can add more ink. I cannot take away ink. So we'll just add those areas. Where I want to go even darker, I can layer the blue on top of the green. And it's just fun to make a blended background like that. Okay, so I think this is pretty interesting, a little unexpected, different than what I normally do. And now we're going to pop this back into my stamp wheel so I could do my stamping. And this is why I was thinking I could do 2 cards, because I think this first one's going to come together pretty quickly. Let me just do a quick little wipe down of my ink. And then we will get to stamping our flowers. Oh, can you take away ink if you use a microcloth to remove some of the ink color? I've actually never done that before. The thing about our fresh ink is it is dye ink, so it does like sink into the cardstock fairly quickly. If you had a slick surface, so instead of just regular cardstock, if you use a coated paper, I would say yes, you could do that. Or if you were using a pigment ink that kind of stays wet on the surface. It's possible that maybe if I was to spray this, I could lighten it if I spritz some water and then lifted it. I would say water is a tool, so that could be a free one. But I think I'm happy with this background, how it is right now. Okay, so let's think about our placement of these silhouettes. What's cool is that you have a lot of different elements here. So even though these leaves are intended to be stamped on top of these leaves, you can also stamp them in. And I might do that. Yeah, I'm like changing my mind as I go along, but I think it'd be cool to do some tone on tone and maybe stamp some of those leaves in the background in either dewdrops or olive, just to add a little bit of texture. And this is what I was saying before, is that you can layer your colors to make them deeper. So even though I'm not getting more greens or more blues, since I layer them on top, you'll see them and it'll just look darker. Okay, so let's get the general arrangement figured out first. This is a nice and big one, so I think that'll go here-ish. And then maybe something like this, so you could see both flowers. I like that. So then if I am stamping some additional greenery, I have this too. I think I still want it all to be very focused in these two corners. I kind of like how that looks visually, especially since I have my darkest corner of the ink blending here. That'll balance off the dark black that I'm going to be stamping right there. Okay, so I'm going to just place that this way, like this. I might use the same stamp up there too. All right, let's pick this up. And I see a question, is it Angel or Mitzi? It's actually Jelly today. So you can say hello to Jelly. If you are joining us, we have quite the limit. This is our high 5 challenge, and you need to limit yourself to 5 supplies. You can use as much white cardstock as you want, though. Go for it. I'm telling you, it's like our desert island. Our desert island is like, maybe, I'm trying to think of what could have caused a bunch of cardstock to be on our island. Maybe there was a ship and it was transferring a shipment of many, many pallets and reams of white, solar white cardstock to Altenew, and unfortunately something happened. It got lost at sea and it drifted away to a desert island, and in that island were a bunch of crafters, and they were greeted with all of these amazing reams of plain white cardstock. So there it is. There's the story for our desert island and how we ended up getting infinite amounts of white cardstock. But you are able to take 5 more things with you. Oh yeah, there's tools there too. So the shipment of tools and glue also was part of part of the shipwreck. Okay, so now we know why we have all of these supplies. So you've got to be thinking, what are those 5 things you're bringing? Stamp sets, stencils, die sets. You can bring your hot foil machine. Go for it. But don't forget, a foil plate is going to be one, and the foil itself is going to be another. So you've already used 2 supplies if that is, in fact, what you want to do. So just don't forget. All right, let's just keep using the same one. I don't know. You can do a lot with one stamp. I'm just going to add that in. Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to knock you around. Let's go here, actually. And I will stamp this in the blue. And thank you, Erica, for sharing. Please, if you are also interested in entering so that you can win that $15 gift certificate, please share while we are live. You absolutely can share after I sign off. However, that is not going to help you win. I might just leave this. I kind of like that. I might add more later, but I will stick with that for now. We also have these other cute little ones that might look nice. I just don't want to add too much without knowing where the dark flowers are going to be exactly. Okay, so this goes somewhere here. This goes somewhere here. I think that's about what we did. Oh yeah, I definitely should have stamped these first before doing all those extra leaves. That's okay. All right, let's get the black ink. So I have 3 ink colors, a stamp set, and a die set. Those are my 5 supplies for this card. And it'll be hard to consider going to the desert island without obsidian because it is definitely my favorite. Okay, so let's get this inked up. Oh, so nice. Got some on my finger. Yeah, I'm seeing Jelly saying, so excited to see what you come up with this challenging challenge. It is a challenging challenge. Absolutely. Okay, just trying to press everywhere, although I know even if I don't and I miss a spot, since I'm using my stamp wheel, I will be able to put it back into position. Yeah, I think I just want to add a little bit more ink here. Make sure I press that really well to get a super nice intense black. So we'll do some double stamping here. Okay, just like that. I'm going more, you guys. I really, oops. There it is. Okay, that looks great. Oh, it's really pretty. I think my greeting I will do in white. Remember, as much white cardstock as we want is all free because of the shipwreck. If you want to make a better backstory, have at it. Let me know in the comments what your backstory is as to why we have these tools at our disposal, infinite number of tools and glue and adhesives, infinite amount of white cardstock, but you're going to have to choose your own 5 supplies. But yeah, why? What's the reason? If it's not a shipwreck, what happened so that we have all of this on our island? Do I want to stamp some more? No, I'm good with this right now. I really like how it's coming out. I'm seeing Brick by Burke says, if you opt to go for a silhouette, you can ghost image some flowers. Yeah, you'll have a gray and black, 1 ink color. I actually don't know if I'm familiar with ghost image, but what I'm kind of thinking of is 2nd generation stamping. Is that what you mean? So you would like stamp off on a scrap piece of cardstock first and then stamp it so it's not going to be the full intense color. Is that maybe what you meant? Hopefully. If not, please explain to me what the ghost image means. Right, so let's take this, and I'm going to do all of my die cutting in one go. And I did say I think I can make a second project. So here's a second project. I am using slightly different supplies. So this is a new island trip, you guys. This is a second island trip where I was crazy and I didn't take my favorite obsidian ink. And instead, I took some limestone ink. So I have dewdrops, limestone, olive. I've got my dainty bouquet, and I have my fine alphabet dies. And yeah, we'll just do all the die cutting at the end. So this is the new island. And I already see we have a reason for what happened. One day you decided to fly to the stars. You will need a spaceship since you need to carry food, water, and oxygen, which means you can only pack 5 crafty things. Yes, that is a great backstory. I love that. And I love that we get to go in space. Okay, and yeah, she said she meant second image if my mind worked all the time. Ghost stamping sounds good. Maybe that's what it's called. Maybe there's another name. I always call it second generation stamping, but you never know. There are many different names for techniques. Which way are we going to do? All right, I think this one will be a horizontal card, and I really like this larger image right here. It still has some black ink on it. Let me just get rid of that because I don't want to seem like I'm cheating. My island right now doesn't have black ink. Let's wipe that down. Should be okay. All right, I'll give that a second to dry, and I will pull out the Dainty Bouquet layering guide so you all can see how this layers up. Now, this is like old school layered stamping. We have the guidelines here. So what these are matching points. So if you stamp the first image, you'll see we have color-coded matching points so that you know where to place each of those additional stamp images. So you will find the stamped image, match it up with the one in the layering guide, see where it goes, and line it up. Now we also have these groupings. So this shows you, this line outside the edge shows you which stamps all work with that image. So the one I'm using, I'm going to use all the stamps that are within that grouping. And then for the other one, we have all of these that go together. And then lastly, we have this, which is just filler. It doesn't really go with either arrangement, and you can just make up where you put that. You can use the cards inside that are sample images to find inspiration. And it looks like there's still some black. Hopefully there's not black when I stamp this. I'm going to go right here. That pigment ink is good stuff. And if I wasn't live, I would definitely take more effort to clean that better before using it again. All right, so for this first layer, I'm going to go into the limestone. And this is a nice light gray. It's one of the cooler grays. We do have some warm grays as well. All right, let me just ink that up again. I probably should have conditioned my stamp before I used it. This is an old stamp set, so I have not stamped it in literally years and years, but it is still available for purchase in the Altenew store. So if it's something you're interested in, please go check that out. The links are in the chat. Okay, so there is our first step here. And I'm thinking since I had to double stamp that, it is going to dry a little bit lighter than what you see here, but it's not going to be extremely light. And I'm worried about my dewdrops because that's a fairly light blue. So I've got to make a choice. I think I'm going to trade this in. The dewdrops are getting traded. I haven't used it yet, so it's still okay. And I think I'm going to trade it for Aqualicious just because I know that's going to come out a little bit better on top of my gray. If I didn't have to double stamp it, the limestone would be light enough that I could stamp the blue on top, the other one, the dewdrops. But just with it double stamped and this coming out quite dark right now, I don't want to have too light of a blue. So we will use these two. And now I have some choices with how I stamp the next layers. So I could do stamp off the second generation stamping to do the first layer of green, and then a regular full inked stamping to do the second layer, because these leaves and flowers have more than one layer. Okay, so here's the one we're doing. We've got 2 layers for that rose. We have the 2 layers for that leaf. The other thing I can do, which is I think I'm going to do this, is do a regular stamping for the first one and then stamp over again for the second detail. It is definitely going to blend together a little bit. It's not going to be that noticeable of a difference, that intense of a difference between the two layers, and I'm okay with that. I hope that all made sense. As I'm explaining it, I'm realizing it may not make complete sense. You'll have to see what I do to know. Okay, so let's look at the layering guide. And yes, I'm seeing Jelly say the layering guides are so helpful. It is. And yeah, these are, it's like true, like I'm saying old school, but there are still stamp sets we release and other companies release that have this type of layering. But I do feel like we've been doing so much with coloring stencils that it feels like a throwback to use a standard traditional layering stamp set like this. Okay, so I'm just going to look over here and see my next layer, which is right here. And what you want to do is figure out the orientation. So one trick, because you could see this branch is going off to the right and mine is going off to the left. So one trick you can do is turn it so that it matches up, right? So now you can see it is the same as in the layering guide. And now I have my next stamp and I'm making that look the same as in the layering guide. Now I look at where the reference points are. So along this stem, we have a red line, and along the stem here, we have the same red line. So I know this is going to align right here. And that's some of, or one of the helpful things of the layering guides. Now, since you can see through the stamp, you want to just kind of maneuver it around until you see that it locks into position. So usually you can see when it is lined up the way you need it, just like that. And now I can put on the top plate. This is the flip plate. And I can stamp out in olive. This green so much. Now it is going to be a little muted down because I'm stamping it over the gray. But it looks really pretty just like that. And then we also have this other leaf up here, which in the layering guide it's pink, but I'm going to use green for that. And as I'm doing this, what's happening is I'm letting that first green dry a little bit so that when I come in with the next one and double stamp this, hopefully this is dry enough that I do get some differentiation between those two layers and they don't blend in too much. So now I line up this stamp, how I have it in the layering guide, matching up my reference points. I'm curious if anyone else has a story about why we are stranded with only 5 supplies, but there is an abundance of white cardstock and stamping tools. What is the backstory here? I like the space story. I came up with the lost shipment, the shipwreck of cardstock and tools that was headed to Altenew. This is coming along really cute so far. I like that we're going to have an Aqualicious flower. I don't make enough blue flowers. Pink is my go-to, followed by purple. And I feel like I make a lot of pink and purple flowers. Okay, so let's go into the next layer. So we have this A2 layer. And now this one, I'm just matching up with the layering guide once again. If you can't see it very well, that's fine. The layering guides are also online. And some people like to print them out, especially people who struggle to see such a small layering guide. Like, I think it's a good size, but different sets have different size guides depending on how much space there is in the packaging. So it's always a good idea to get that printed out if you think that's going to help you. Okay, I'm just wiggling it around till it locks into position. And I can do that by looking through the stamp itself. I know it's really difficult for you to see on screen, so you will have to trust me. And now I'm going to do my double stamped olive. I have a second idea in case this doesn't work, is I could stamp Aqualicious on top. And that will, instead of just intensifying the green, it'll kind of make a blue-green, but it'll still give a differentiation in that detail layer. But so far it's pretty good. Now you guys know it's always going to be darker before the ink dries. So as this dries, it is going to lighten up and it will blend in a little bit more with the greens that are already there. But I think it looks okay that I don't want to add the Aqualicious, but that was my backup plan if this wasn't going to work. So that's another thing you can think about regarding color. If you are feeling too limited by only being able to choose a couple of colors, right? Because let's say you're even just using one stamp set, you're still going to need only 4 inks. That's the max you can do, and that's not a lot of color. So if you feel limited by color, don't forget that you can layer 2 totally different colors on top of each other as well. They don't have to be from the same color family. And we have another story, lost shipment. One day, the Altenew packing elves boxed up your order off to the post office and ready to travel to your home. Oh no, your order was delivered to a parcel locker. Oh, no locker for me. So this is the A2 layer going back, and then there is a C2 layer. It is so small. I'm not going to worry about it, but that would get stamped right there. I want to move on to the Aqualicious. I'm excited to see what this looks like stamped out all pretty. So we have the B1. Thank you, Joanne, for sharing. You are entered to win a $15 gift certificate, which will be announced at the end of this live. So now I'm going to line up my flower the way I see it on the layering guide here. And also, again, we have the reference points. So it's marked off here in yellow. And that looks great right there. The other thing is, if you are intimidated by layering stamping like this, don't worry about being perfect. So a lot of our sets, you don't have to align them perfectly for it to still look like a flower. Now, that being said, there are some sets where I feel like, yeah, it'd probably be more important than others for you to have it lined up. Because sometimes when they're really, really detailed, if you misalign layers, it gets a little messy looking. So like imagine I've got this, my hand, right? And then I have another hand on top and just kind of off. Well, now it's just very busy, right? So some of our sets are like that, where like you really want to be precise. This isn't one of them. I feel like you could stamp a little off and it'll still look really beautiful. Ooh, a pretty blue flower. Okay, we're going to let that dry for a moment just because I want to give it a chance to settle before I stamp the next layer on. So let's take a look at both of these and think about what greeting we want. For this one, I definitely want white, just plain white letters, because I think that'll pop off the most. I think I have space for a small greeting here or up here. The middle probably won't work because I think the letters will cover up too much of the pretty flowers silhouettes. Here, I think I've got some space for a longer sentiment, especially if I put it up here. And I think for this one, I might ink blend on the cardstock so that my letters can be multicolored or different colors. Maybe I'll make them Aqualicious. We'll see. I'm seeing my time. I've got 10 minutes left, so I will see how much I can get done in this time. But I do think for this one, I will do high because that's a nice short little sentiment. And then for this one, maybe I'll do thanks. So I'm going to need to pull out my dies and see which letters I need. So high is H-I, thanks is T-H-A-N-K-S. Let's find what we need. Oh my gosh, brick by brick. 10 little craft supplies. 10 little craft supplies jumping on the bed. Mom said no more jumping on the bed. You did a whole thing here. That's great. You guys need to read the comments if you haven't checked them out yet. Okay, we need K, S for thanks. These are great dies, by the way, you guys. This is the fine alphabet die set. It's so good to just have some sets of alphabets so you can customize your own readings. I need the I for high. H, okay, we got H-I for high. We need the H for the thanks, and then A and an N. N, A, okay. I'm gonna put the rest of these back. Well, in the ending, as Mama said, which 5 little supplies will be left on the bed. Now, if you're wondering what in the world that's about or what we're doing here, the challenge is to have a limit of 5, only 5 supplies, not including your tools. So my die cutting machine here, the mini, how did I almost say that? The mini die cutting machine is allowed. And then my plates are allowed. The mini blossom has plates that are 3 by 6. So you want to make sure any dies or anything that you're using fit within that area. And I'm just going to trim this down a little bit because this is a large panel of cardstock. So I know that's not going to go through the mini blossom. Let's cut this in half. And adhesives are free, and inks, colored pencils, anything that's a color, you have to count each color as 1. So we talked about the enamel dots or embellishments before. If it's multiple colors, those are all going to count separately. So you have 4 colors of dots. You've already used 4 of your supplies. So just think thoughtfully about which supplies you want to use so that you are not going over your limit of 5. If you choose to play along, and I really hope you do, then make sure that you share with the hashtag. It's hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. And if you use hashtag Altenew Challenge Live, you will be eligible to win a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store if you are selected to be featured next week. Okay, I'm just taking a little bit of our satin masking tape and placing this down. I'm leaving a little bit of space because I know I need to cut another H, because I've got 2 cards I'm making. And these cards were created on different islands because one of them uses black as my 5th supply, the obsidian. And the other one, the one I'm working on now, used limestone as my 5th supply. So we'll just pretend it was different islands. And I am going to run this through with the shim. So this is just a metal shim that we sell. And that is so that I make sure I have a really deep cut on these letters. Anytime I use more intricate dies, I do send it through with the shim. And that cracking you hear is a good sign. That means it is cutting through. And my feet here are suctioned onto my surface. I did say I was going to do some ink blending on some of these letters, didn't I? And I didn't. I like to do that first. If I'm going to ink blend, it's better to do it first because it's easier. It's fine that I didn't. Let me get my perfect picker out so I could just pop these out more easily. What I'll have to do, and again, this is going to happen off screen because I am running out of time. So when I'm not live, I will see if I want to ink blend those letters, and I will just pop these onto my sticky mat. So the one that I'm pulling out of the stamp wheel is the one I've been using while I'm live, but we also have a 9x12 sticky mat. You can buy the square one also on its own. And if you just pop the letters onto it and ink blend with a small ink blending brush like the Mini, my favorite, or any other ink blending brushes that you have, that will work just fine. But I do usually prefer to do my ink blending first before I die cut my letters, just because they're so delicate, right? It's a little bit easier to do your ink blending when it's just a solid sheet before they get cut. Okay, so you guys are absolutely going to have to come back next week, either live or watching the replay, so that you can see how both of my high five cards came out. And we're calling it high five because you may only choose 5 supplies. So I'll give you the rundown. I used a stamp set, I used a die set, and I used 3 colors of ink. So that's what I'm creating this card with. You don't have to make a card. You can make anything that uses paper crafting supplies. I keep saying every time that I want someone to make an art piece. I think it's only happened once where someone created an art piece, but please feel like you have the creativity and flexibility to create something that maybe you don't usually make. So if you usually make cards or tags, try to make a scrapbooking layout or an art piece, or vice versa. Or if you could think of something else that uses similar supplies that you could make. Okay, so this was going to be my high card. So I think the white letters will look great just for contrast. These letters are nice and thin too. Again, this is the fine alphabet. So we like that you can fit larger greetings onto your project, but there is how this one's going to go, or maybe I'll put it in the top left, not positive. The thanks card, I will definitely do some blending. The tone on tone is pretty, but I think it's still a little bit hard to see these letters. And if they were blended maybe in the blue, it would look better. The last thing I'm going to do offline is I will stamp the next layer here of the blue. You can see now that the leaves are fully dry. That detail layer did blend in with the other green layer, the first detail layer that I put in. However, it still remained darker. So you could see here that it's darker in this area. Wait, where's the perfect picker? This will be easier to show you. Okay, so it is darker here than it is like here. It's darker here than it is here because I did that second layer of stamping there. The other option was to do second generation stamping for the first detail layer and regular stamping for the second detail layer. So that's another thing that you can experiment with since you will be having limited inks when you create them. Kim saying you can also put them back into the negative. Yes, I can ink blend that way since I don't like the delicate dies flopping around everywhere. I could place them back into position and do my ink blending over them that way. And if I do that, even combined with the sticky mat, that makes it even easier. So great idea. Thank you for that reminder, Kim. Okay, let me pop you guys up. And it's so funny that now when I finish the live, it's so dark out. I live in Massachusetts, which is pretty far east in my time zone. So it gets like a lot darker here very early compared to other states or other cities in the Eastern time zone of the US. So it's sad. It's so dark. It's like pitch black out right now. But I just want to thank everybody for coming. And congratulations again to Andrea for being our winner from last time. Jelly is going to pop in the winner of the $15 gift certificate in the comments for sharing the video while we were live. So thank you for everybody who did that. If you choose to join us, please create something using that 5 supply limit. If you missed the explanation, just read in the description box and also watch the earlier part of this live stream where I mentioned it multiple times, what the exact rules are, and share with hashtag Altenew Challenge Live so that we can find your project. And that'll pretty much do it for me today. I hope you guys all have a wonderful and crafty day. I'll see you soon. Bye.